Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
I'm Aaron.
This is Seeking Me Productions. Bring you a new TV series review.
So Netflix finally released their adaptation of the classic and well-beloved series One Piece.
This time in live action.
Who ever thought that this was actually going to be a thing? I certainly didn't, especially when I first saw and actually even knew anything about this particular anime, specifically based off the manga series. And it definitely was on that spectrum of animes or mangas that I truly felt was just impossible to truly adapt in this wholehearted, attempt.
Yes, and Hollywood, or just many live action adaptations of manga animated series in general, has had a very troubling time of that translation. Hollywood has had their chances mostly on the film adaptations from Speed Racers, Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, of course.
Netflix even had its own chance that went at it with Cowboy Bebop and Death Note.
But just to be honest with you, not all adaptations have been a bad run.
Netflix actually is right now streaming 3 of the
That's true.
Warner Brothers Japan distributed and produced Rurouni Kenshin series.
Yes, that series, from our opinion, was basically one of the best adaptations we saw that could have been done with a anime/manga being translated into real life.
And there's been, even for the Western side, Alita Battle Angel was given a really decent adaptation.
That's true, but where does this particular adaptation lies?
All right, One Piece, based on the manga of the same name, written by Eiichiro Oda. It is right now the best-selling, long-running manga series of all time at the time of this video, as well as one of the most popular long-running animated series.
And let's, put it right there. It's no, doubt this is really one of those incredibly long-lived animes or manga series.
1999 is when the anime began. Just to provide a perspective of how popular it is and just how long. This is just as popular and been running as long as SpongeBob SquarePants. At least in anime form. The manga is, of course, because that's the original source, a little bit longer. In general, One Piece is a fantasy pirate adventure. It is about tells the story of young Monkey D. Luffy, who dreams of becoming king of the pirates as he sets sail in search of the long and very thought after Gold Roger's treasure,
which is aptly named the One Piece. But Luffy isn't on this journey alone. He has an entire crew of a makeshift family of sorts that he brings along with him that all have their unique dreams tied together on this unique journey.
Yes, but on this journey, we see that the world of One Piece is very far from the world that we know ourselves in our reality.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it has some aspects where, real life constantly, aspects that was thrown into it. There's a navy or specific military force with the Marines. Of course, there's ruling principalities is out around there, and thriving cities and villages and whatnot. However, this world is completely bonkers. You have people who are able to gain incredible mystical powers thanks to eating particular kinds of what are called devil fruits.
You have people of mixed races.
Yeah, we have fish people. We have animals, hybrids, the whole 9 yards. There are giant sea creatures that are wreaks havoc everywhere.
This is the norm of One Piece.
It is.
Saying it is a fantasy is a highly underrated statement. But that brings to the case that this series is a whole mix of tones, and the exaggeration is on display here. Now, given the case, that is also where a lot of the mixed bag of what this series has to offer in terms of quality-wise.
Now, again, the story does, at least for this particular adaptation, does follow the exploits of Monkey D. Luffy on his quest to find the One Piece. And particularly with this first season that we're getting for the live action series, this basically spans the first
100 chapters in the manga.
Exactly.
The first 60 or so episodes of the anime.
Which really roughly puts it towards the
East Blue
arc, which was really such around Luffy's attempt to try and help out against a major threat in the form of an antagonistic figure called Arlong.
Of course, and other antagonistic pirates along the way in this area. Basically, it's the introductory art of basically of him gathering up some of the base members of his crew.
Yes. Let's go straight into talking about characters and how that well adapted into the series.
Monkey D. Luffy, portrayed by Mexican actor Iñaki Godoy. His performance is very much the whole baggage of the mixed reception that this series may convey, because he is like his performance as the main character ranges from either over the top, trying too hard, and some generally good moments,
which was always going to be a very difficult portrayal to try and nail. Luffy is an over-the-top and rambunctious character, a high-energy figure that anybody would have trouble to try and bring to life. But I do feel as though with this particular actor, more often than not, he does nail the beats that they are trying to portray the qualities of Monkey D. Luffy.
And if this actor will come across this review, I would suggest really researching the actors of the likes of Robin Williams and Jim Carrey, because they are able to portray that manic, energetic persona in a more natural way, that it will help ground the absurdity of whatever moment they're in.
Moving on, we have Luffy's first mate and swordsman, the legendary warrior known as Romero Zorro.
He's played by Mackenyu. Quick fact, he is also the son of legendary late actor Sonny Chiba.
If you've ever seen any of his works, you will know that, wow, those some really big shoes right there. And of course, going back, it makes perfect sense when considering the type of character that this actor had to portray.
Actually, when we talk about Running the Kitchen, is fun enough. He actually he played a character in Ishin, the main villain in the last film.
Yep.
So his work as a swordsmanship carried on over here. How he portrayed his performance, his physicality is actually very standout.
Exactly.
It's a highlight. But when it came to doing more of the emotional scenes,
I found his portrayal to be a little bit way more subdued to what he would actually need to portray for this particular character, or at least just for portraying this particular emotional beats in general. He does try his best to be the cool guy in the group, and he pulls it out in certain aspects. But when it comes to actually explain some hard-hitting emotional scenes, there is a little bit of a misdirect there, or just a little bit of some work that he needs to do in order to raise it up.
It's very telling throughout most of his cast that not a lot of the people are really are as comfortable with hitting the right balance, which is very hard for a series like this to do, especially in live action.
It's true. Movie from Zorro, you have the character known as Nami, who is the ship's navigator. And
she is played by Emily Rudd. She's actually one of the most very grounded performances in this show.
Actually, I feel as though with almost all the characters, I feel as though she's the one that actually really embodies their character more so than anybody. At least does the best job at actually emphasizing who she was supposed to be.
She conveys her intelligence well, her wit, and also the mere fact that she's able to anchor so much of bouncing off the character actors against her. So very nice, good casting. Very helpful that most of the good. Very fact that a lot of the characters or actors actually actors look like their parts as well.
Yeah.
Usopp. He's played by Jacob Gibson. He is, how do I say this? Now Usopp, he is a manic storyteller.
Yeah.
Liar. That's his character. Sticking to it. I would say his performance is more. He tries too hard on a lot of regards. Like the key to getting striking the right balance is trying to be as natural as possible.
It should be. Look, if you're gonna tell lies, you have to believe it just as much as anybody else as you're trying to get to go in there, and that's definitely gonna be the case when it comes to the character of Usopp.
Rounding up the Straw Hat crew as of this moment, Taz Skylar, he portrays Sanji.
I really enjoyed this portrayal, at least for what they were trying to do.
We got a little skeptical at first because when we saw the trailer, it was like a moment of clear wire work.
Yeah.
That was janky. But the thing is, it was actually a lot less with when he was doing the physicality of his work, which is actually good. So good choreographed physical moments for him, especially with his exuberant personality that really is really infectious.
Yeah. Look, the one thing I feel is I'm hoping this particular actor does going forward with this particular character is that you showcase the clear tonal shifts that this character has, because at some points, yes, Sanji is a cool, calm, collected guy, but when he puts his whole heart into certain scenes or
obviously
characters.
If you're familiar with the manga,
you'll know what
anime,
we're talking about.
This character can he's very much one of the tropes that's it's only subtly done in this version, where he's very flirtatious.
Yeah.
It's very highly exaggerated to dangerous, problematic at times in the anime and manga.
Yeah.
So if they can reach up to a very healthy tone with it going forward, that will be very helpful for his character.
Very true.
But here's something: a character who really strikes the perfect balance that every actor going forward should strive for in this adaptation of One Piece is Jeff Ward's performance as Buggy the Clown.
Oh my God, this was so amazing. I absolutely fell in love with his performance. He really did embody everything and more of what I actually wanted out of anybody who was trying to do Buggy the Clown.
Jeff Ward's performance, he is manic when needs to be. He is he's very he's reserved when getting serious. But yeah, he's also funny when very funny at the point that he strikes that great tone and the chemistry from going back and forth with every cast member. He is very much the standout in every time he's shown.
And of course, we have to wrap it up with the other antagonistic forces in this series, Arlong.
Now, Arlong's actor, McKinley III, I like his performance. The visual aspect is very hit and miss.
That's kind of like the same with a lot of the other characters that are like Arlong. In certain lights, I feel as though when you're looking at characters like Arlong and other characters that are fishmen in general, and not just fishmen, I'm going to say, because there's, of course, One Piece has multiple different kinds of chimera-like characters and creatures in this series. I feel as though looking towards Pirates of the Caribbean or other productions that were helmed by studios that have done this particular style of characters will be an insurmountable wealth of knowledge and source to actually pull from.
And rounding out the cast of what show are decent highlights, I would like to give a shout out to Morgan Davis, the trans actor who portrays Kobe. We saw Morgan Davis earlier in 2023 as the idiot in Evil Dead Rise. But they portray a character who won't, if they be as faithful as they are right now, we won't see this character until much later. But
yeah,
their performance as Kobe is like a good. Is that usually that character that is that window for the audience to see just how weird and portrayal is the really experienced world through their eyes. We won't see that character because Luffy's all the way through.
That's true, but when they end up coming back in, so long as the series actually seems like it's going to continue going forward. It's going to be real interesting to see that glow up.
Yes, Kobe has one of the best glow ups in anime manga history, and basically fictional. But going on to production, which is going to be the real, really encapsulate the.
It's the highlight of highlight and
mixed bag of how it is.
With this entire series. First and foremost, I am going to applaud you guys. Y'all did something that I again did not think was actually possible to do. And you have tried. You've done your best work yet, realizing the world that encompasses the One Piece.
Yes. The showrunners are Matt Owens and Stephen Maeda.
Yep.
Both veterans of television. And they work very close. It very shows how closely they work with Eiichiro Oda, on a similar vein of how Neil Gaiman worked with the Sandman on Netflix as well as also Good Omens on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And the way that they able to do One Piece, they I'll say 60-40% of the time it is very much a well done recreation of what the world of One Piece.
From the wackiness and outrageous splendor of the ships and
the set design overall.
Yeah.
Highly detailed and expansive.
Incredibly.
If you're familiar with films or adaptations, the world in which they've done live action is very similar to the live action where it's Dr. Seuss, Lemony Snicket, and also Ronald Dahl.
Yeah, okay.
Like Willy Wonka and Matilda type of that's the vibe in which One Piece very much is. But it's mostly a vibe in the vein of an action-oriented pirate adventure. With expansive and very intricate in how they were to make the set design and some of the storylines. It is unfortunate how even with the live action, so many of those moments are scaled small in scale, especially with certain characters' stories, in which if you were familiar with the material, it easily some of this it's escalated to bigger proportions than how they are portrayed here.
Yeah.
A lot of the fights in this series, I'm surprised at how well they were able to do Luffy or some of the double fruit abilities here. They're very limited when you see them.
Yeah. But for the most part, they do a really decent job trying to convey how they would look like in a realistic sense.
So the way that they adapted One Piece, that tone will not work with other versions of that of shonen.
No.
Because One Piece is very particular Looney Tunes like.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see how they did it here. Applied to something like Yu Yu Hakusho, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, well, probably Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball more than Dragon Ball Z will probably fit with One Piece vibe, but I don't want to see for more serious outings. One of the major highlights that really do hold it anchors much of the world is the music of the series. The same composers who did The Witcher are brought on here to do a very swashbuckling classical orchestral score that very reminiscent to how the anime does the music.
Exactly.
That also includes some very jazzy beats as well.
Jazzy and hip hop and a lot of different tones are actually thrown into the mix in this, and it fits well for One Piece.
Yes. The overall verdict on season 1 of One Piece's Netflix, I would say that from this first attempt, despite it's some mixed bag, we do veer towards more positive towards this adaptation of being good.
This is true.
My name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
This has been a Seeking Me Productions.
Guys, as always, please like, share, and subscribe. Please hit that bell down there at the bottom for notifications. If you want to hear more from us and see more of these videos coming to you. How do you feel about this latest adaptation of a beloved animated series? Are you a fan of One Piece? Are you going to be sticking tuned to actually see how well they're going to evolve going forward?
There's a lot of material to go through.
Oh my God, it's so much.
So yeah. Also, be along our lines or check out our social media outlets of Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for other content we don't necessarily post on this channel.
Of course.
And see you later.
Bye.